Hey guys, it's Jen from over at worldofjencraft.com, and this is our project for today. So I am using this cute little bug Brigitta from CC Designs, and I purchased it over at the Not Too Shabby Shop. My Favorite Things Stitched Rectangles, and the My Favorite Things Spring Scene Builder, and Lawn Fawn Flower Border. So I did use my Copics to color in my image. And these are E00, E21, E13, and E33. I'm basically just trying to give a quick little base here with E00, and then I'm going to go back over it and start doing my shading, starting with the darkest color up by her hairline. And the darkest one in this one is the E33. And then I brought in the E13, the E21, making sure I had the right one there. And then finally going back over it all, still making sure I had the same one because it just wasn't looking as light as I thought it should have. And then going back over it with that E00. And then I kind of end up going back over it a few times, trying to get all of my little arms and her knees. And again, starting with the darkest and then going to the lightest. And again, I know I've mentioned this in my other videos, but this is still a learning process for me. I'm still figuring out, how to shade, where does the sun come from. So one thing that I have decided after watching many, many videos of people coloring with their Copics and taking Sandy's class, Sandy Alnock, is I think everybody kind of has their own little version of how they use the Copics and which ways they shade and which ways they color. Some are a little more simple than others, only using maybe a couple colors. Some get as complicated as using, 4 different colors. So I'm just kind of starting to realize maybe there isn't this black and white. Maybe, I tend to put things in a black and white. It's either this way or it's not. And I'm starting to discover that I think it's how you feel comfortable with the coloring and what look you're going for. Now the hair, I actually did watch a video. I cannot remember the artist's name right now. And Sandy Alnock does it as well as far as the hair. So this is that E21 that I just laid down, and I'm going in with my darkest, the E29, and I'm just using kind of flicks with my marker, trying to keep it at the very tip of my marker, which I think it's kind of cool how then it starts to come together as strands of hair. And then I just keep going over with the next darkest, which is the E15, I believe. I bring in the E33, I think, which that or it's the E13. I can't tell, my hand's going so fast. But I do end up just kind of working it from darkest to lightest, and then I end up going back with the dark again and just kind of trying to figure out where these highlights and where the lowlights and everything need to go in order to make this look, I guess, as natural as you can for hair. And I was actually pretty pleased with the way this one turned out and with the first one as well. And for me, it turns out different every single time, which is one of the reasons why this video is like 2 weeks late. I've had this card done for like forever. But when I went to go to prepare for my video, I completely forgot what colors I used for her skin and for her hair. And so it took me a few more tries and a few more hours to get that all figured out. So there I'm just kind of I just keep going back and forth until I find that combination, and I'm kind of looking it over. Now, if you'll notice, the skin on this one versus my first version, I really love the way her skin turned out with this one. I used different colors, and my first one, you can see the shading came down quite far into her face, but this one, I was actually pretty tickled with the way it turned out. So for her little dress, I am only using 2 reds, and that's because that's all I really have. And it is possible to get the shading done with only 2 colors. So I actually started this time just with my dark. I did not add that light under it. So, and I'm using a flicking motion with this that I had learned from watching one of Sandy's videos. And it's just kind of a flick almost with the side of the marker to kind of get it to look the way it did. And I thought the shading turned out pretty decent on her little dress. Of course, I forgot the socks. And here I'm going back and coloring her neck because I completely forgot to color that one as well. Her little wings are a BG0000, which is, I believe, one of the lightest, and then the BG10. And here I'm just kind of flicking on the color. I didn't want it too heavy or saturated. My original card, I actually had a couple globs of ink that spilled out and I thought it was ruined, but I ended up making it work. So I'm coming back in, doing her little socks. And I did bring back an even darker, kind of a burgundy red, just to accent some of the shadows or the darker parts. And I can't remember what color that was, but I think it gave a nice little darker look to those lines in the shadows in her socks. And then her shoes, it's a W2, W4, and a W6. Starting off with the lightest and then coming back and going darkest to lightest. And I believe I ended up going over this a few times until I got the shading that I wanted. And I forgot her little antennae, so I brought my 2 reds back. And I think that might actually be it for the coloring on this. So I'm going over with a white gel pen just where those little dots are in her eyes, and then a black gel pen with those little dots on the cheeks. I probably could have gone in and maybe done a couple more little dots in there, but I thought what they had stamped out originally looked just fine. And of course, putting my Wink of Stella on her wings so they're nice and sparkly. And there it is. I don't know if you guys can see the shimmer, but it's really sweet in person. So for the actual background, I am using a 4 1/4 by 11 for my card base, which is Whisper White. And I believe this is Real Red. These are Stampin' Up! Cardstocks because I still have a stockpile. And I do love the colors and the quality of the cardstock as well. And this was using that stitched rectangle from My Favorite Things. It's become one of my favorite things to use for the cards that I've been making. This is Balmy Blue, and I'm just going to put some glue all over the back of it using my Tombow liquid adhesive. And that piece that fits in there is a 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. It fits perfectly right in that framed area. Bringing out the flower border, I am using the Granny Apple Green, and that's going to be for my grass and for the little flower, the bases, the stems and the petals of it. And I'm kind of trying to find a good placement as far as where I want to cut this. And then I did have pre-cut the Real Red and the yellow, which on the top of my head I cannot think of what that's called. It's a new color as well from Stampin' Up! But I'll have all of these listed, as well as all the Copics over on my website, worldofgencraft.com, if you want to go over and get the dimensions and the colors and the supplies used. So I went ahead and just took off the tops of the tulips and the tops of the other flowers so I could glue them onto the green, the Granny Apple Green. And then I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive to stick those all on. So I just wanted to, catch up for a second while I'm doing all this gluing, and you guys don't really need a play-by-play on it. My schedule has changed at the airport, and I am no longer working the wonderful 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., which I did love the schedule, but we have these shift bids, and of course I'm the low person on the totem pole at this point, so I did not get the shift that I had wanted. Instead, I am working 11:45 to, or 11:30 in the morning to 6:45, and at the airport there's always something that happens, so I'm not always getting off at the time that I'm supposed to. You know, those fun delays due to weather or mechanical issues that everybody just loves. So while that happens, I have to stay along just with everybody else. And so life is just kind of, my crafting is kind of taken a back seat, especially my videos. I have quite a few cards made. I just need to get the videos done for them. But that's kind of what's going on with my life right now. I miss everybody. But you know what? Got to do what I got to do right now. And I am getting crafting done when I can. So this is just hand cut, and I just left a little teeny tiny white border all the way around. Yeah, haven't excuse me, haven't made that purchase yet on that scan and cut, but I tell you, every time I cut one of these images out, it's looking better and better to me. Excuse me. But it doesn't take too long. This was a pretty simple image to cut, so I'm not going to gripe too bad. So I go ahead and cut her all out, and then I'm going to stick some foam adhesive, and this was just some cheap stuff. I can't even remember where I picked it up, but I don't even know if I'm a huge fan of it. It's actually kind of a soft foam adhesive. I don't feel like it's not as sturdy as the Scotch that I've been using, but you know what? It works, and I got to use it till I'm done with it. So I'm just gonna stick her on. And the Hello Friend sentiment that I used, I ended up changing it up just because I thought maybe I would want a couple different sentiments on the same card, which shows you the versatility of these cards. I mean, she could be pretty much any kind of sentiment that you wanted, any card. So I threw that Wink of Stella on my flowers, and then I do end up adding some to the clouds once I get those attached as well. But these CC designs, oh my gosh, if you have not checked out these images, they are stinking adorable. I totally see more of these images in my future. I'm just going to throw those little clouds on, and that's what I used the spring scene builder, were those clouds. They're just the perfect size for my projects. So we are just about done with this card. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I'm going to try and be a little bit better about getting stuff out there for you guys. I know I've been slacking. If you like this image, you can find it on Not Too Shabby Shop, and use the code GenCraft, all one word, capital letters, and you can receive 10% off your order. She also has free shipping with a $60 order within the United States. And freebies when you order. I think it's $60 or more. So she just has a fun little online shop that you might want to check out. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll check you guys later. Bye.